There were nights when you closed your eyes, unsure if the words you whispered in secret ever made it past the ceiling. But chosen one, those prayers did not vanish. They traveled directly to the throne of heaven. God has been holding on to every plea, every tear, every sigh, weaving them together into the greater story He has written for you. The silence you experienced was God ignoring you. It was God working in ways you couldn't yet see, aligning your destiny with blessings that are now ready to manifest. Think about how a seed must remain hidden underground before it ever breaks through the soil. Your prayers were seeds, planted in faith, buried in the soil of divine timing. Though unseen, they were never forgotten. And just like a seed eventually blooms, your hidden prayers are about to burst forth into visible answers. This is why you had to wait, because what's coming is greater than what you asked for. On Anointed Era, we believe this message is your confirmation that heaven has always been listening. The waiting season is closing. Every silent cry has been heard, and your answers are already on the way. Waiting can feel like punishment, but for the chosen ones, it is actually preparation. God does not withhold to harm you, He withholds to strengthen you. In the seasons where doors refused to open, God was developing your patience, sharpening your character, and molding you into someone who could not only receive the blessing but also sustain it. If you had received too early, it would have slipped through your hands. But now, you're ready in ways you weren't before. Consider Joseph in the Bible, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into prison, forgotten for years. To the human eye, it looked like delay, but in truth, it was divine orchestration. By the time Joseph stepped into the palace, he was no longer just a dreamer, he was a leader. Your waiting, chosen one, carries the same weight. You've been trained in silence for a future where nothing will be wasted. And that is why your breakthrough will not be fragile, it will be unshakable. Your waiting had a purpose, and the fruit of that season is about to show. When God blesses, He does not bless halfway. His nature is abundance, His promise is overflow. That means He will not simply give you just enough to survive. He intends to provide more than enough, so that your cup runs over. The struggles you endured were not for scraps, they were preparing you to handle a flood. And when God releases it, the very people who once doubted you will witness the evidence of His faithfulness in your life. Think about how the Israelites walked out of slavery. They didn't leave Egypt empty-handed. They left carrying silver, gold, and abundance. The same God is moving for you, chosen one. Your release from struggle won't be small. It will be undeniable. That's why this message on Anointed Era is so important. You are standing on the edge of your own Red Sea moment, where everything changes in a single divine act. Overflow is your portion, and not long from now, you'll see it manifest. There were invisible chains that once held you back, chains of fear, lack, rejection, and delay. These weren't just random struggles. They were generational barriers designed to keep you from stepping into the fullness of who you are. But chosen one, every prayer, every fast, and every battle you fought in silence has been breaking those chains one by one. Heaven has already declared that your cycle of bondage has ended. Look at your journey closely. The very areas where you once felt weakest are now the areas where your greatest strength is being built. What once intimidated you no longer has power. This is evidence that the chains have snapped. On Anointed Era, we remind you that you are not just surviving, you are rewriting your story. The weight that once crushed you has turned into a testimony that will lift others. The chains are broken, and your freedom is sealed. For too long, you've knocked on doors that seemed permanently shut. You gave your best, but rejection met you at every corner. What you didn't realize is that those weren't your doors. God had closed them because He was preparing greater doors, ones that require no compromise, no striving, and no manipulation. These are doors only He can open, and when He does, no man will ever be able to close them. Think of Esther, who was positioned at the palace not by chance but by God's design. The doors of favor swung wide open at the right time, and her presence saved a nation. Your journey carries that same divine weight. The doors God is opening for you won't just bless you, they will bless generations. And when they open, you'll know it wasn't by your strength but by His hand. That is why He kept you hidden until now. Your season of closed doors is over. Get ready for keys of access. One of the hardest truths to accept is that timing is not ours to control. You may have felt left behind, overlooked, or forgotten. But chosen one, God's timing has never failed. What felt like delay was actually protection from premature breakthroughs. Had you stepped into certain blessings too soon, they would have turned into burdens instead of gifts. His timing has shielded you from heartbreak and set you up for lasting victory. Science tells us that even in nature, timing is everything. A fruit picked too early is sour, but when left to ripen in its season, it becomes sweet and nourishing. Your blessings are ripening in God's timing. On Anointed Era, we celebrate that your wait has not been wasted, it has been strategic. What's coming is not rushed or fragile, it is perfect, full, and unstoppable. Your moment is arriving, right on schedule. The wilderness season often feels like punishment, but in truth, it is preparation. When life stripped you of comfort, when you had no one but God to lean on, He was training you. Every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, every battle fought in silence was strengthening your spirit. You learned how to stand firm without applause, how to survive without validation, and how to fight with faith as your only weapon. Look at David. He wasn't crowned king in the palace. He was trained in the fields, alone with the sheep. It was in that wilderness where he developed courage, resilience, and intimacy with God. Your story reflects the same pattern. What looked like isolation was actually formation. On Anointed Era, we remind you that your wilderness season has shaped you into a warrior who cannot be shaken. The wilderness made you strong enough for the throne. God does not just return what was lost, He restores it in greater measure. Restoration is different from replacement. When God restores, He multiplies. The years you thought were wasted are about to be redeemed with double honor, double provision, and double peace. Every tear you cried became a seed, and now the harvest of restoration is ready to manifest. Think about Job, who lost everything but ended up receiving twice as much as before. His story is not just ancient history, it is prophecy for chosen ones like you. The losses you faced were not the end but the setup for a greater beginning. On Anointed Era, we declare that your restoration will silence every doubt and every voice that thought you wouldn't rise again. Restoration is coming, and it will be undeniable. For so long, it felt like the odds were stacked against you. People underestimated you, overlooked you, and even worked to block your progress. But chosen one, God has been shifting things behind the scenes. The very tables that once left you empty are being rearranged so that your name will be honored in places where it was once rejected. God specializes in divine reversals, and the season of your turnaround has arrived. Consider how Joseph went from prisoner to ruler in one night. He was forgotten, yet God's hand moved suddenly and the tables turned in his favor. That same sudden shift is about to break forth in your life. On Anointed Era, we remind you that rejection was never the end. It was the setup. Your turnaround won't just surprise your enemies. It will also surprise you with its speed and magnitude. The tables are turning, and you are stepping into favor. You don't have to chase provision when you walk in divine alignment. Provision will find you. Just as manna fell from heaven to feed the Israelites, God is about to send resources into your life in ways you never imagined. He will use people, opportunities, and even strangers to place into your hands exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. Provision has always been part of His promise to His chosen ones. Think about Elijah, who was fed by ravens during a famine. It didn't make sense, but God made it possible. In the same way, your blessing may come from unexpected sources. That's why it's important to stay ready, keep your faith alive, and trust that He is your provider. On Anointed Era, we affirm that you don't have to strive. God's supply is already on the way. Provision is coming, and it will meet you right where you are. Your tears were never wasted. Every time you cried, heaven was recording your pain and turning it into power. What once broke you will become the very thing that builds you. The pain you endured has not only refined you but also positioned you for triumph. Chosen one, The story of your life is shifting from sorrow to victory, from struggle to strength. Think of Hannah, who cried bitter tears because she had no child. Yet those tears birthed Samuel, one of the greatest prophets. Her pain became her testimony. Your tears hold that same power. They were not signs of weakness but seeds of triumph. On Anointed Era, we remind you that every night of weeping leads to a morning of joy. Your breakthrough will testify that God never abandoned you. Your tears are ending, and triumph is here. There were seasons where your efforts went unnoticed, where your goodness was taken for granted, and your heart was overlooked. But chosen one, God does not let humility go unrewarded. The very places where you were ignored are the places where He will honor you openly. He is preparing a table before you in the presence of those who doubted your worth. Consider David. He wasn't even invited to the gathering when Samuel came to anoint the next king. Yet God told Samuel to wait until David was brought in, and before his family he was chosen. The same honor is coming to you. On Anointed Era, we declare that your season of being overlooked is over. God is about to showcase you for His glory. Your honor is coming, and no one will be able to deny it. There is a unique joy that comes when you see the full picture of what God has been building in your life. For years, it felt like pieces scattered across a puzzle, confusing, incomplete, and frustrating. But now, chosen one, God is aligning every piece, and you are about to witness the masterpiece of completion. The joy you feel will not be temporary. It will be deep, lasting, and undeniable. The Bible reminds us that He who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. That means none of your efforts were wasted. None of your struggles were pointless. The work that God started in you will be perfected, not halfway done. On Anointed Era, we speak this truth over your life. The season of incompleteness is ending, and the joy of wholeness is beginning. Completion is here, and it will bring you peace. Chosen one, when God decides to bless you, you don't have to chase after it, it begins to chase after you. Opportunities, favor, and breakthroughs will come running into your life, not because of luck, but because of divine alignment. The scripture says blessings will overtake you, meaning they will arrive even faster than you can anticipate. This is your new reality. Imagine how Ruth, a widow with nothing, found herself in the fields of Boaz. She wasn't chasing wealth or influence. She was simply faithful in her work. Yet blessings chased her down, changing her destiny forever. On Anointed Era, we declare that the same will happen for you. Blessings are about to pursue you, catch you, and transform your life. Get ready, favor is chasing you. Struggle has been your teacher, your companion, and your daily reality. You fought battles no one else knew about, carrying burdens that seemed unbearable. But chosen one, the season of endless struggle is closing. The same God who delivered His people from slavery will deliver you into rest. The hardship was not permanent, it was only a chapter. Think of how the Israelites wandered for 40 years, but the wilderness was not their destiny. It was their training ground. The same is true for you. Every challenge you endured has equipped you for abundance. On Anointed Era, we affirm that your identity is not tied to struggle but to victory. The ending of one season marks the beginning of another. Your struggle is ending, and peace is rising. Faithfulness is often overlooked, but God never forgets it. When you stayed loyal to Him, even when life made no sense, heaven was watching. Every act of obedience, every prayer, every choice to trust instead of fear has earned you a crown that only God can give. Chosen one, your faithfulness has not been in vain. Consider Daniel, who stayed faithful in prayer even when threatened with death. His faithfulness led to his deliverance and honor before kings. Your story reflects that same truth. On Anointed Era, we declare that your loyalty to God is about to be rewarded openly. The crown of faithfulness rests on your head, and it will shine brighter than the trials you faced. 17. The shift no one expected. Sometimes God moves in ways that shock not just your enemies but even those closest to you. There will be a sudden shift in your life, chosen one. a blessing so unexpected that even you will stand in awe. This is the kind of shift that breaks natural laws and reveals the undeniable hand of God. Think of Paul, once a persecutor of Christians who became one of the greatest apostles. Nobody expected his transformation, yet God orchestrated it. In the same way, your sudden shift will silence every doubt about your calling. On Anointed Era, we remind you to stay prepared, because when it happens, it will happen fast. The unexpected shift is almost here. God never intended for you to walk this journey alone. There are people specifically assigned to your destiny, helpers who will lift you, support you, and push you into greater heights. These are divine connections, not random acquaintances. You may have lost some people along the way, but that loss made space for the right ones to enter. Elijah had Elisha, Moses had Aaron, even Jesus had his disciples. Destiny is always tied to the right people, and God is sending yours. On Anointed Era, we affirm that the season of isolation is ending and the season of divine partnership is beginning. The right voices will enter your life and accelerate your purpose. Your helpers are on the way. Blessings are not only about wealth or success, they are also about peace. After all the storms you've endured, God is about to flood your life with peace that cannot be explained. This peace will guard your heart and mind, even when circumstances around you try to shake you. It is the kind of peace that comes only from His presence. Jesus calmed the storm with 3 words, "Peace, be still." That same authority rests over your life. Where there was chaos, calm is coming. On Anointed Era, we declare that your soul will no longer be restless, peace will. God is not a man that He should lie. Every promise He whispered to you in secret will come to pass. It may have taken years, but chosen one, the time of fulfillment is here. The words you clung to in faith will now manifest before your eyes, proving that God has never failed you. Abraham waited decades for Isaac, but when the promise finally overflow in every area of your life. Peace is your inheritance. God is not a man that He should lie. Every promise He whispered to you in secret will come to pass. It may have taken years, but chosen one, the time of fulfillment is here. The words you clung to in faith will now manifest before your eyes, proving that God has never failed you. Abraham waited decades for Isaac, but when the promise finally arrived, it silenced every doubt. Your promise holds that same power. On Anointed Era, we proclaim that the season of waiting is shifting into the season of fulfillment. What you once only prayed for, you will now live in. The promises are unfolding, not long now. Chosen one, this message is not coincidence. It is confirmation. God is ensuring that you will lack nothing. Your prayers, your faith, and your endurance have brought you to the edge of abundance. From broken chains to overflowing peace, from silent prayers to loud testimonies, everything is aligning in your favor. If this message spoke to you, don't leave without engaging. Rose like this video, subscribe to Anointed Era, and share your thoughts in the comments. What promise are you holding on to? What breakthrough are you expecting? Your voice matters, and your testimony may encourage someone else on this journey. This is your season of fulfillment. Not long now, your everything is on the way.